the Brides of March, and it's called Beware the Brides of March. And it was started as a statement to all the wedding dresses that end up in the thrift stores. And the people that started this event, it was a comment on that. So they just have all these people show up in wedding gowns, and we walk around Union Square and terrorize all the high-end stores. And it's so much fun. It is just so much fun. One done. Woo woo. Oh yeah. We can find ways to get those to show. Like we can pinch it up on one side and put a brooch or something there. But I would do it towards the front, not the side. Kind of like right over, directly over your leg.
And we could also use, I know this is a ring, but this could also be used somehow to gather.
Maybe that's what we could do here.
To
gather that there. I can create a loop on there with this, and we can gather the fabric and then pin it to this so that we, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like so that it's attached.
With some red. But see, that red is the same color as this red, and
that's gorgeous.
Do you think this will be too much then? Yeah.
Please, it's your wedding day! All my bridal fantasies come true, and none of the having to deal with the husband or whoever. Oh, it is see-through. I didn't want to get married after all, but I've been engaged twice. I just decided that it wasn't what I wanted to do, and maybe someday, but I'm really content. I have a lot of lovers, like friends, just everyone, you know. I'm so fulfilled by my friendships. And, you know, every year I get to be a different bride, so that's pretty cool. Years ago. I think that one of the people that began it was a member of the Cacophony Society. And so the Cacophony Society was a society back that nurtured people creating events that made people think about stuff, like think about what we're doing, and really just fun to play with. Best wishes! So anyway, Brides of March began because somebody was working at a thrift store and noticed all the bridal gowns and started thinking about all the failed marriages, all the things that can go wrong, all of the dreams and hopes that are in every gown, and then their dresses end up in a thrift store valued at $30 or something.
It's the one time a year I get called beautiful.
So every year, we get dressed up in bridal gowns, and we always invite more. Everybody's welcome. In fact, it's grown all around the U.S. and other countries. And so now we go and we just run around and terrorize the high-end stores at the Union Square.
I'm about to go and go nuts.
It's our special day!
I'm celebrating the 5th husband. I don't know his name yet, but I know I'll meet him by the end of the night.
I'm celebrating probably, I don't know, my 12th bridal weddings where I haven't actually gone through with it, thank God. But you know, I'm always the bride, never the bridesmaid. We're going to the chapel. Gonna get married. Going to the chapel and we're gonna get married. It's just so wonderful. It's so much fun. And every year I get to be a different bride. I get to imagine anything I want as a bride without all of the stress, the drama, and breaking the bank.
Okay, girlfriends, I need a hand.
We are waiting for some stragglers. Make a left on 5th Street and a right on the Toma to the Tempest Farmhouse.
And how do you remain stress-free?
Well, there's champagne and there's knowing that I don't have to actually like live the rest of my life with a single person. And there's, right? Just saying, it's stress-free.
Exactly. I mean, you know.
I can get married every year.
Exactly.
Well, no, I can be a bride every year.
You can get married every day.
Well, that's true. That's true.
You can get married every hour. You can get married whether the watermelon was sweet or whether the watermelon was sour.
That's right.
Help yourself to some champagne and cake. Help yourself to all the champagne and cake.
Yeah. Well, no, they just they go to different bars. I see these people every year. Tourists love the event. They're always surprised to see so many brides walking through the streets. You know, it's a real special San Francisco thing. In San Francisco, we're always trying to create the unusual because it's fun, it's entertaining, it's creative. It allows all of us to participate in our most creative ways. And I think that's what I love most about San Francisco. Gonna get married.
Christened by Mrs. Frank Knox, wife of the Secretary of the Navy, and the new Hornet is launched. The previous Hornet was that famous Shangri-La, which carried the Doolittle bombers for the air raid against Tokyo. The old Hornet was lost in sea and air battle in the Solomons. She had fought in the American triumph at Midway, but then came to a warrior's end.
The Hornet is dead. Long live the Hornet.
A successor to a hero ship goes to sea.
The USS Hornet is a terrific Bay Area destination because of the history, because of the uniqueness of the facility, and the legacy that goes with it. It's an aircraft carrier, it's a very large ship, multiple levels, terrific views of the Bay Area.
This ship contains so much memory. From the early 40s all the way up to 1970, so many different areas of history took place. Apollo 11, Apollo 12 in here. Apollo 11 was the first lunar landing. Just an amazing place.
So the Hornet is actually one of the most restored aircraft carriers of all of the historic ships that there are in the world. And so what we really are passionate about is that we are really authentic and historically accurate. People can come here, they can see the walls, they can see the vents, they can see the engine rooms, they can see the fire rooms, they can even see the sailors' bunks and sleep in the bunks themselves as well. And so I think that's a really fascinating concept, is you can really feel what it would have been like to serve on a vessel like the USS Hornet.
The historical legacy of Apollo, Vietnam, World War II, all tied together in one location, something you can't find anyplace else.
It's a great place to come check out. Come on down, bring the family.
The ambition of this walk is really to change your life.
4 blocks this direction is the second most powerful financial district in the United States. After Wall Street, there's more venture capital coming to San Francisco because of high tech and biotech, actually, than even on Wall Street. 4 blocks this direction is City Hall. This is where not just city, but also state as well as federal office buildings are located. In between is one of the poorest neighborhoods in all of San Francisco. So literally, but figuratively too, being squeezed by the financial sector on one side and by public policy on the other is the Tenderloin neighborhood of San Francisco. Speaking maybe throughout all time, but I'm focusing on the 60s, of those persons who took LSD and had a social transformation. Out of that, they visioned something, well, we could transform society. And I'm going to talk about a subgroup of that small percentage of folks, a group called the Diggers. The movement has some reputation for directing people to go back to the land, to drop out of society, turn on and drop out and go back to the land. The reason we're sharing this story is a number of the Diggers occupied, not the whole building, but another rented here in this building. Most of their activity and most of their residences were in the Haight district. The Diggers began redirecting youth to go to Northern California and to start cooperative farms. Now, it was more of a romantic notion than a reality, because the Diggers themselves stayed in the city and they hadn't themselves been farmers, so they didn't know, it's not an easy task. But the romantic story got round to the rest of the country that you could go to Northern California, start a farm, and no longer participate in society. You could be an anarchist and be a success. Go down, Moses, way down in Egypt land. Tell old Pharaoh, let my people go. That story of liberation was used by the African American community to talk about themselves without the white guys knowing that they were talking about themselves. It seemed as though they were just becoming Christianized to the white guys. And so the African American community still uses this language. The first people to have a constitution, a national constitution, a document for their country that said, I'm not saying it's true, but that said that God had written it. And what's important about that is that they had some absolute laws. Prior to that, all laws were given by the king or by the pharaoh. The king could change the law. The Hebrews were the first people to write a constitution that said even the king has to follow these laws and he can't do otherwise. Otherwise, he's an apostate. He's thrown out of. Taxation is at the very root of public policy. You have to find out who's going to pay for all this, and then the laws are meaningful. But to talk about laws without a way to enable them, to fund them, is, frankly, it's silly. And so I'm going to talk about, very briefly here, about taxation, just to launch this deeper story. I'm drawing your attention to the building on the other side of the street with the sloping roof and the green oxidizing railing.
This is a mansard roof. Came up with the idea of having a sloping roof that would touch some of the floors so you could put in extra floors and they wouldn't be taxed. Then it originates as a tax haven. If you walk around London today and you see buildings with little windows, why? Because of taxation.
At West, we're all about the fusion of creativity and innovation.
This is an introduction into what VR is. We have different types of VR. The very simple one with the Oculus, the more immersive one with the HTC Vive product, and then there's a kind of generic product as well, where your whole immersion, where you're in the product and you're moving around and you actually feel like you're in a different world. It's a new level of being part of a reality that you can create. The technology is not complicated. It's the idea that it's a different type of way of expressing things. So I think it's interesting to learn more and more to find out where you can use it in your own life and also in business. When you put it on, you feel like you're there and you're actually watching it and you're progressing through it. The Vive experience is more immersive, where you actually feel like you're there physically. All your cues in the world are gone. You're literally in that world. It's a very virtual reality world. Things like this can bring education, bring training, healthcare training to regions that are remote, and you have accessibility and you have a more involved experience, so you can train people to do things using this.
Being in Silicon Valley, it's natural for us to break into VR, and so this year we have gathered enough content and the tech is finally here and ready to have an amazing world-class virtual reality portion of the festival.